Please welcome Managing Director of Customer Experience for Delta Studio and Wi-Fi at Delta Airlines, Ekrem Dimbiloglu, in conversation with Skift Editor-in-Chief, Sarah Kopit.
I'm back. So, hello. We're almost done. Almost at the reception.
Good to see you, Sarah.
Good to see you, too. So, Delta is 1 year into free Wi-Fi. And I hear there was some news today, so why don't you tell us about it?
It's been a long year, but an exciting year. We have news broke earlier this morning that we will be outfitting our entire regional fleet and our 717 fleet with free Wi-Fi as well. So today, we're operating 620, give or take, aircraft with free Wi-Fi. This time last year, we had a total number of 0 aircraft with free Wi-Fi, so excited within the year that we've gotten to 620. And by the end of next year, this time next year, we'll have all 1,300 aircraft completed in the fleet, including those regional jets. And I'm super excited about the regional jets, because if you think about it, today, those planes operate on air-to-ground service. These are usually short-haul flights that are flying under 90 minutes. So customers only have availability when the aircraft reaches above 10,000 feet. So imagine you've got onto your Delta plane, you're on a short flight from Atlanta to Asheville, and you don't have Wi-Fi service until you get up to 10,000 feet. That's really, really frustrating on a 30-minute flight. Now, with our new partnership with Hughes, we're going to have gate-to-gate service. So as soon as that boarding door closes, customers are going to have access to consistent, high-speed Wi-Fi available. So really, really excited.
So what has that meant for the in-flight experience for your customers, the free Wi-Fi?
I think it's incredible, I think, what it means to them. If you think about it, what we're trying to establish at Delta is a living room experience, right? And that living room experience is connectivity all the time and being able to do what you want when you want to do it. So if that's being able to respond to work emails, great, we're giving you the opportunity to do that. If it's being able to watch great Seatback entertainment that we have available to you, great, we're allowing you to go ahead and do that. It's really giving customers the flexibility like they would at home to do what they want.
So you just brought up the Seatback. Is the Seatback monitor dying? This is a very polarizing issue, so I want to hear about it from Delta.
I'm curious in this audience, who thinks the Seatback screen is dying? Raise your hand. Okay, there's a few hands in the air. That's okay. No, I 100% do not believe the Seatback screen is dying. If anything, I think it's more important these next 5 years than it ever has been, right? I mean, if you think about the evolution of in-flight experience and entertainment at Delta and really across our industry, it was one where you would bring your book to the plane, right? If we think 50 years ago, that was your entertainment, was bringing a book. And then we went into that one screen that everyone watched that same movie. We all remember this?
Yes.
You could watch it usually, if you were lucky, maybe in English and a second language, but that was kind of as good as it got. Then we moved into the piece where we had these screens that were dumb. And what I mean by dumb is everyone was watching the same thing no matter who you were or where you were flying to. And now we're really moving into an experience that is truly personalized and connected to the internet. All of us have televisions, I'm sure, at our homes. And Sarah, is your TV connected to the internet?
It absolutely is.
100%. So what we're doing at Delta is taking the 153,000 screens we have. Every single Delta mainline aircraft, with the exception of our 717s, has nose-to-tail entertainment. And what we're doing now is connecting those 153,000 screens to the internet to truly being able to then offer a personalized experience to our customers. And I really think, as we think about the next 5 years, it's back to that living room experience of us knowing our customers well, and then when you get on a plane, not only are you greeted with exceptional service from our flight attendants, our pilots, our ground staff, but you're also getting this digital experience that you feel connected to.
Yeah, so you just brought up personalization. I went to the dentist last week, and I walked into the room, and it said, "Hi, Sarah," and it had like my favorite Netflix show on, and they knew what my flavored toothpaste I liked. What's Delta doing with personalization? Is that coming for my in-flight experience?
It is. I'll tell you a funny story. I was actually coming back from a weekend to visit my brother in Baltimore recently, and there was a woman who was sitting next to me, an older woman, who was struggling connecting to the internet. And I could see her struggling. She was trying, but it was not going very well. I'm not sure if anyone has done this, where you kind of do the side eye, and you're looking at what the customer next to you is doing. Anyway, I leaned in and I said, can I help you connect to the Wi-Fi? And she's like, do you know how this works? And I said, well, actually, I do. I'm very well aware of how this system operates. So I helped her connect to the Wi-Fi, and it welcomed her by name, and then apparently it was her birthday month, and it said, happy early birthday. And she literally looked at me and said, they know it's my birthday. That's really cool. And I was like, oh, I work at Delta. And she's like, that's so cool that you know it's my birthday. And I was like, well, of course we do. You've purchased a ticket with us. We know your date of birth. That's a really small thing, but meaningful to customers, right? So if we can celebrate things like it's your birthday month and you're flying with us, or if we can say, hey, Sarah, you've never been to Dallas-Fort Worth before. This is your first time flying here on Delta. Have an awesome time. Or maybe it's your 20th trip to New York. We can say, hey, you've been to New York City 20 times on Delta. Have an awesome time. And by the way, here are 2 things that you should go do because Atlas Obscura and Delta's partnership has said that you should go do this when you're there. It's those elements of personalization that we can bring forward to really enhance all of our customers' experiences, no matter if they fly us once a year or 20 times a year.
So partnerships must be really important to Delta, as they are to many companies. I'm curious what you're looking for when you sign up with a partner. What does that mean for Delta?
The number one thing we're looking for in partners are those who are going to truly provide value to customers, right? Like, is it something that our customers are interested in? And is it something that customers can easily connect to without going through lots of hoops? I'll give you a few examples. So we partnered with Paramount Plus. So if you're flying on any of Delta's free Wi-Fi equipped aircraft, we give you access for 24 hours to Paramount Plus. So while you're flying on your flight, let's say from Atlanta to New York on the hour-and-a-half flight, you can immediately start consuming Paramount Plus content via Delta's free Wi-Fi on your flight. We don't take your credit card, and that was really important for us. This, people's purses are, up high. You don't want to pull your credit card number out in front of all these strangers and start typing it in front of folks. So we said, hey, look, we want to cut that out. We want to make this easy and simple for customers. So it's, very limited information about them and give folks access on the plane. And again, we're not just making your trip better in the 1.5 hours that you're on a Delta flight. We're making that entire rest of your day better, right? So on your Lyft ride to your hotel, at your hotel, you can keep watching content. So it's partnerships that truly provide immediacy and benefit to customers on board, but also provide longevity as you think about the rest of their experience. Another great example is New York Times games. So I'm not sure if there's any fans of the games that New York Times produces, but clearly they have many of them. I see a few hands. On Delta, and many of these are paid games, like the crossword is a great example. It is literally one click. You want to play a New York Times games on Delta, you can click one button and you immediately go there. No username, no password, nothing. It's just an immediate connection to it. So, what we're trying to provide folks is obviously consistent internet that they can do what they want, but we also want to create an environment with great partners that can allow them to expand their horizons and do things that they want to do on their flight. And I think we're going to learn from customers of what works and what doesn't. Does Paramount Plus work? Does New York Times games work? What are those partnerships that are really the ones that gravitate most with our customers?
Just want to remind the audience, if anybody has questions for Ekrem, send them on up. We got about 10 minutes left. I'd love to hear which games you like to play on your Delta flights. That's very interesting. But let's talk about accessibility. I'm curious what Delta is doing to make those features accessible for your passengers who need them.
We've done a lot in the accessibility space over the last 12 to 18 months. 2 things I'll bring forward is closed captioning is one that we've really leaned into. So we're actually, I believe, the only airline in the world that has all of the content that's stored on our Seatback entertainment system fully closed captioned. So if you watch any movie or any series on a Delta aircraft, you're going to have closed captioning as a capability. So if you're someone who needs that, you're going to be able to consume any piece of content on Delta associated with it. So that's huge. And I'm not sure about you, but actually a lot of the younger generation, my nephew, he's 11 years old, he watches everything in closed captioning. And I'm like, why are you watching this in closed captioning? You don't need this. But there's also a desire for folks who don't need it to be able to have it. The other thing that I'm really excited about that we're doing with our Delta Sync product is connecting our flight attendant SkyPro device, which is basically an iPhone that's connected to the internet that knows a lot about the passengers on board the plane, to our seatback screens. So imagine a world that you have someone who is hard of hearing and another passenger who English is not their first language. And you're on a flight from Atlanta to Omaha, and you're encountering turbulence in the middle of your flight. Typically what happens today is the flight attendant comes on the announcement and makes a PA that says, hey, we're about to enter some turbulence, please fasten your seatbelts and sit in your seat. Well, now what we're going to be able to do, the flight attendant from their SkyPro device in their seat will be able to click a button that says turbulence, and then every single seatback screen on that plane will have a notification that pops up that says the exact same thing, which is we're about to enter turbulence, please sit in your seat. So if you're someone who is hard of hearing, now you're getting access to that. If you're someone who doesn't speak English, if you're watching your content in Spanish, you're going to get that message in Spanish because that's how you want to get consumed, that's how you receive content. So there's benefits like that that this Delta Sync product and connectivity is going to bring to our customers, which is really, really exciting.
I also watch Netflix with the closed
Do you really?
on. I do.
There you go.
I don't know. I think I watch a lot of British TV, and it helps me, right?
Yeah,
it helps
understood.
me. Okay. So from the audience, we have two comments here
Sure.
on Delta's in-flight experience. One positive. The question has disappeared, but it was complimenting your playlist selection. So they want to know who does that and how those came to be. Second was any plans to enhance the onboard dining experience. I'm not sure that's a positive one. I'm just curious.
Well, let's talk about the music first.
Exactly.
So we have a partnership with Spotify for all the music that we have on board. If you think back 2.5, 3 years ago as it relates to our music strategy, we were one that just had albums, right? We had a variety of different artists for a lot of different genres, and we would put albums on board. People don't really listen to albums anymore. I'm not sure if you do, Sarah. People are into playlists. I mean, we're in the playlist world now. So we've partnered with Spotify. They're the world's best in terms of curation of this type of content. So they curate all the music that's on board. One that we've really spent a lot of time on over the last year is boarding music. We have boarding music that plays during customers getting on the plane, but also deplaning from the plane. And we had a strategy change recently to say, this should be fun, right? Like we should have upbeat music. I mean, you're getting on a tube, you're gonna travel at 500 to 600 miles an hour, 6 miles in the air to a different place. That's exciting. And we should be happy and excited about that. So we've changed the mood of the plane to be a bit more upbeat. And I think it just shows that every little piece of the experience actually does matter, right? Yep. From the boarding music that you have to the welcome on your seatback screen with your name and it's your early birthday, to being able to play content or play games that interest you. It's a whole bunch of little things that make the experience great, and our focus has really been on that. On the food thing, yeah. I don't work on food, so unfortunately I can't tell you a whole lot about food other than it's really complicated, right? I mean, I've been to the kitchen in Atlanta where we make all the meals for flights out of our largest hub, and it's a difficult operation to do, but it's one that our teams equally are spending a lot of energy and effort on to improve. Any
plans to be able to order from the seatback?
Yeah, that's something that has been brought up before to say, is that a capability that we could bring forward? The reality is we could do that. And I think right now we're working with our flight attendant group to understand, how we can do something like this. We want to make sure anything that we do, particularly that involves our people, which are our number one asset, that we think really thoroughly through before we go ahead and execute on it. We don't want to put something into market and be really difficult for flight attendants to handle. But it's something that we're constantly looking at and potentially looking to do maybe in the future.
So here's a question that this is not just for Delta. This is for, I suppose, any of the companies out there that do have all of our data. It says it seems that might be a creepiness factor to an airline knowing a person's birthday and biometrics. How does one opt out of all of this over encroachment?
Yeah, good question, right? I think Delta's stance is, when we have your data, we want to make sure that something positive is you're getting something for it, right? I mean, no one wants to give data. folks may be willing to give data if they're going to get something back for it that's going to improve their experience when they're on a Delta aircraft. We do, though, if you're a customer who doesn't want to provide that information, you don't have to, and there are simple ways to opt out of it. I'll give you a great example with free Wi-Fi. If you don't want to be a SkyMiles member and don't want to gain access to free Wi-Fi through that program, you can pay $5 on a Delta plane domestically and still gain access to our Wi-Fi.
How many people do?
Very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very few. The number is well below 1%. It's a very small number of customers who actually pay.
Yeah. Another question from the audience, which is a good one. I really like this. What do we, the public, not know about Delta that you wish we knew?
What I'd say is, there are 100,000 of us. We are a very large airline. We're flying 200 million people to 6 continents. But I've been here now over 13 years, and what I can say is it's a place that really ultimately at its core cares about our customers and cares about the customer experience. I've been there a long time. I've been drinking a lot of the water that's available to me in the office, but I will tell you it's a place where everyone from Ed, our CEO, down to the flight attendants and our gate agents, they want to provide a great experience, and we want to be number one, and we want to continue to lead in our industry, and we want to continue to break these ceilings. And I think Wi-Fi is a great example of us, as the first global airline to be able to offer free Wi-Fi as we think about, this time next year across our fleet, or what we're doing in Delta Sync and bringing personalization on board. We're always trying to go to that next frontier and just be better for our customers.
So let's pull out the crystal ball.
Okay.
When I fly here in 2028 for Skift Aviation Forum, how is my in-flight experience going to be different than it will be tomorrow when I fly back to New York?
I think these next 3 to 5 years are going to be, there'll be more change in this period of time than we've seen in the last 50 years. I really believe that. I mean, as we talked about that journey from the book to the seatback screen that's dumb today, the next 5 years to 6 or 7 years, I think is going to be transformational. I think it's going to be an experience where from the Fly Delta app experience that you have to boarding the plane, you'll have a more seamless transition. I mean, today our Fly Delta app is a really great tool that helps people till they board the plane, right? You're looking at it, you're constantly checking, am I on time? Has my gate changed? Where's my seat? And then you scan that phone, you board the plane, and you kind of forget about it, and then you go to the next thing, which is the seatback screen. I think the next 5 years, it's going to be a much more seamless experience as you kind of go through Delta's digital touch points. So that's number one. I think the other thing that you're going to see is just much more personalization. And things that today we kind of take for granted in our life, like Netflix. You said you watch Netflix with closed captioning. Netflix knows a lot about you, and they put a lot of great content in front of you to pick. When you fly a Delta plane 3 or 4 years from now, you're going to easily connect to that seatback screen. It's going to welcome you by name if you want it to. And it's going to let you start a movie where you left off. Maybe you were on a flight 2 months ago, and it'll say, hey, you didn't finish that movie. Do you want to start exactly where you were 2 months ago? Or it will say, hey, we know that you love watching romantic comedies like I do. Let me show you the latest and greatest that we have on board. It's going to be a much more one-to-one experience. And again, I think our people are the best at this, right? I mean, I think that what's made Delta great these last 98 years that we've been around is the human connection, and we don't want to lose that. That's the core of who we are. But it's how can we bring our digital products into knowing our customers better to serve them in ways that I think you will find a ton of value in, to say, oh, I want to fly Delta because Delta knows me, and they're going to show me even a better experience than anyone else.
So I have one last question.
Okay.
It is the most important question that I'm going to ask you today. When are my AirPods going to connect to the seatback? I need to know. Okay,
a Bluetooth. Yes. So what I'll say is, if you fly any of our brand new A321neo fleet of planes, we're already operating with Bluetooth today. So as we think about our new aircrafts that are in service, and then the ones that we'll be receiving over the next 5 or 6 years, it is now a requirement. Because to your point, it is frustrating to not be able to use your AirPods on the plane. So we will be offering that as we think about any new aircraft delivery. On some of our older technology airplanes or systems that we have, It's not something that we're working on right now, but we do offer you free earbuds. So you can consume the amazing, great content that we have on board. But for sure, it is where customers are today, and we've got to meet them there, and we will with our new aircraft.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Ekrem,
so much.
Pleasure to talk today.
Likewise.
Okay.